Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at the carpet flooring kit, the rear deck kit and the spare wheel cover for the Austin Healey BN6 and the BN7 models. So the BN6 is obviously the 106 model, the two-seater version, whereas the BN7 was the 3000 Mark 1 and Mark 2, also the two-seater version. It's worth noting this particular carpet set is the side change or side shift gearbox spec as per the BN6 model, which continued on into the BN7s but wasn't used for all of the BN7 models. Effectively in November 1961 or thereabouts, they changed to the center shift or center change gearbox spec that was seen as well on the later BT7s and all of the BJ7s and BJ8 models, so bear that in mind. The chassis number changeover off the top of my head I think is around 16,000 or so on the BN7s. So basically if you have a BN7 and it's got the side shift gearbox element of things, then this video is applicable to you. If you don't, then do refer to our other videos on our YouTube channel because I will have done one for the center shift version of the BN7. The other items in this video, the rear deck kit and the spare wheel cover, are common for both the BN6 and the BN7 models, with a couple of caveats there based on materials that were used. So what we've got in this video here, if I just zoom in slightly, is we've got the carpet flooring kit, which is obviously the main cockpit cabin area of the carpets of the car, all the carpeted areas there. And then we've got the rear deck kit, so behind the seats where the sort of battery box was on the rear shelf. And then we have the spare wheel cover as well. I'm combining them in this video, but we do sell them separately. So effectively the carpet set, as per everything in the screen at the moment, is sold as one kit. We then do the rear deck kit, which is that rear shelf area with the battery box, and then the spare wheel cover. So effectively 3 different kits in this video here. We're also going to be touching on some of the hardware items that you may want to get at the same time, such as the front floor carpet, overmats, the Underfelt soundproofing kit, and the fixings, of course. We're also going to be covering sort of originality in terms of materials and some of the finishing specs of it all. And at that point, it is worth noting that this is what I would consider an upgrade kit. For the customer here, he's actually ordered a full leather kit, so all of his trim panels are leather, seats are completely leather. He's really gone to town on upgrading the materials on this, and so with that, the carpet set's actually been done in wool, which is our premium carpet automotive material, which is very commonly done on the Healey ranges. Actually, originally they left the factory in Karvel, which I'll go into in a second, but a lot of people choose to go with wool anyway. But then this gentleman's also chosen to upgrade the rear deck kit, which was normally Armourcord, and he's also done that in wool, so it all matches. And there will be another follow-on video to this which covers the boot trunk area, which again he's also done in wool, which is an upgrade option. Normally they're in Armourcord as well, but do see that video and other related videos. Some will be listed at the end of this one, others just go onto our YouTube channel and find them. So let's dive into this kit. So this is a black wool carpet set, side shift gearbox for the BN6 and the side shift versions of the BN7s. It's wool, so it's our premium carpet material. We can offer 3 different grades of carpet. We've got nylon at the real sort of budget end of things, people really looking to work to a budget restoration on things. Then we have Karvel. Karvel is the original material used by Healey for a lot of their carpets. They did seem to shift to wool towards the late end of their production, but the majority of cars did live from Karvel. Karvel, you can see, is a very distinctive design, as it's got a rib pattern in the short pile element, and it's got a Hessian backing on it, so we can provide that material there, although the colour range is limited. You've only got 4 colours at the moment. You've got black, blue, red and grey, whereas wool, which is the other option, is the most premium option, and what I'd recommend as well generally if you're looking to really spruce up the car, because it's in terms of quality, durability and finish, it's actually the best out of all 3 options of the carpets anyway. You also get a very wide colour range on things, so worth checking out our materials and colours library for that element of things. But like I say, this customer's gone for black wool for the carpet set, so let's start with the carpets. Make my way forward. Just wanted to note as well, in terms of binding, edging of carpets, a couple of things to note. One, we use leather cloth. We do not use vinyl. Leather cloth, also known as vinyl or Rexin, is the original material used during this era of production to edge carpets in lots of different marques of classic cars. Vinyl, a lot of other companies do use vinyl out there to edge their carpets. It gives a much bigger binding edge finish, quite bulbous in my opinion. It also doesn't wrap round as neatly. You get lots of wrinkles going through, whereas leather cloth, because it's slightly thinner but very robust, is very, very suitable, the most suitable material to use for carpet edgings. Not going to spend too much time talking about it because I am going to do a blog and video detailing the differences there, but I just wanted to make people aware that we do use the correct and most suitable material, which is leather cloth, whereas a lot of other companies do not. They use vinyl because they don't want to have to presumably stock another material, or perhaps they don't realise the idiosyncrasies and ins and outs of the benefits of having leather cloth over vinyl. Who knows? Either way, we do it as it should be done. And as you can see, it creates a lovely, neat finish. Leather cloth, like I say, it's a very robust material. You can scratch it like that and it doesn't snag at all. Whereas if you did that to vinyl, you'd be catching your nail in the top surface of the material all the time. It's kind of snagging it. Now, vinyl obviously is a very suitable material for other areas of the car, but when it's wrapped around such a tight edge like that, in terms of carpet and also piping on seats, it's not suitable. So just bear that in mind. And then continuing on the edging or binding theme, Healey typically probably didn't edge many of their carpets, a couple of pieces here or there. And that was almost certainly, one, a cost-saving exercise, and two, should we say, a fitment exercise, in terms of they just generically cut slightly bigger pieces and then custom fit them to each car because of the inconsistent factory production lines back then. That was probably the way to do it. Whereas we have standardized our patterns over the years, and we know that 9 times out of 10, if not more, our carpets are going to be fitting the car absolutely fine. And what we've also done is tailored in the way we edge our carpets to allow for, should we say, the idiosyncrasies of the original factory production line. So a good example of that is, say, the front and rear floor carpets, they're edged all the way around. We know that they fit the footwell floor area as well. But what you then got is the elements of the gearbox, which haven't got binding on either side, and we've made those longer than they need to be, or rather wider than they need to be, to allow for a nice flow between the carpets. So they will get tucked underneath the adjacent edges of the front and rear floor carpets, and that principle follows throughout the car. Essentially, no raw edge of carpet should be on show when everything is said and done, because it's either tucked underneath an adjacent edge carpet, or it's tucked underneath an adjacent panel. For example, the sills, one edge is tucked underneath the front and rear floor carpets, the other edge is actually tucked underneath the finisher of the actual door sill area there. So that's the sort of concept we've worked through with our carpets after working with lots of specialist trimmers all over the world for almost 50 years, and the feedback that they've given us, we've sort of improved our patterns whilst keeping the original styling exactly that way. So with that said, we edge some of our carpets as standard in the carpet set. If you do want, should we say, an OEM factory spec where there's no edging on it, then just let us know. But as standard, we would always do the edging as we see fit on these carpets here. So do bear that in mind with that one there. It's worth noting as well, going to the elements of restorations and companies all around the world, we have supplied, we not only supply some of the leading Healey restorers in the world, and in this country, people like Rawls Motorsport, JME, Healey, Murray Scott Nelson, etc., and then people further afield as well. But we've also supplied several of the concourse judges with their cars over in the USA as well. So not just cars that get entered into concourse, but we actually supply have supplied the interior kits for the judges themselves, which I think is a real good stamp of approval towards our products when the judges choose to use our kits. So bear that in mind, and do see our website for more details on that. Anyway, let's dive into this carpet set. So let's start at the front of the car. And I'll be referring to a book. Not all the photos in the book will be actually from a BN6 or a BN7, but the concepts are very similar, so it's worth keeping that in mind. You effectively get, let's start at the very front. So you've got the parcel tray. carpet. So we include that as standard in the carpet set, but we don't include the vinyl that wraps around it. That's sold as part of the trim panel kit. Now, as this customer is actually going for a complete kit, he'll obviously end up with those, actually his will be leather, but the surrounding vinyl normally for that. But because it's carpet, we supply as standard in the carpet set that piece of carpet for the parcel tray, which goes on the passenger side underneath the dash there. Effectively, you can just about make out the lip of it there. So that's that piece there. You then get the sort of toe board areas of the gearbox, so right up under front floor footwell areas. You get a pair of them, left and right, and they go effectively up the front there. You can see the cutaway there, that's where the sill comes in, and then that actually bends round and meets this section in the middle here. So you get a pair of those pieces there. There's no edging on them, and they're slightly oversized to allow for better fit and just basic cutting back when needed. You then get the archway piece of the gearbox at the very front. Obviously that's on the vertical of the firewall as well. So those three pieces at the front there go on the vertical of the firewall. You then get a loose piece of pre-cut vinyl, which basically goes effectively along this edge here. So you'll notice when basically the gearbox cover meets up with the archway for the gearbox, that there's looks like a piece of binding, but it's not. It's actually a loose piece of, or rather a trimmed piece of vinyl that goes on the front of it there. So that's literally right up into that area there, and it's literally there presumably just to cover up bodywork, as they didn't get the carpets to meet particularly neatly in that regard. So we supply that as standard for you to copy and replicate as such. You then get a pair of front floor carpets. Now they come edged all the way around. They get the Austin heel pad, rubber heel pad on them. We as standard heel pad them both sides. Again, a lot of cars originally just left with one on the driver's side, and if you want that, let us know. But as standard, we put heel pads on both sides, so bear that in mind. But then edged all the way around, rubber heel pad, a pair of those. You get some sill carpets, a pair of them, again unedged, made slightly wider or deeper than they need to be, and they literally go down these sills below the doors, either side there, and up into the kind of footwell area there. You get a set of rear floor carpets, again edged all the way around. They have the sort of corner cut out there effectively for the shape of the gearbox to run past. You get a pair of those. Main sort of gearbox cover carpet here. So obviously this is the side change version, as mentioned earlier, so it's sort of lopsided to the side. So it's actually two pieces of carpet then, which are then sewn together along this seam join here. You get the hole cut out there for actually where the gear stick comes out, which has the vinyl surround sewn into it. You have this cutaway here, which is where the handbrake sits, and then you get a loose piece of vinyl as well, which covers up the bodywork area where the actual handbrake comes out of. Just reference it here. Obviously you can see the handbrake there. So yeah, the cutaway would be there. I don't think you're going to see any actually showing the bodywork, unfortunately. Oh yeah, there we are. So that's the element there. So normally it's just exposed bodywork, but we put some vinyl in there so that you can choose to cover it up if you want, so everything ties in nice and neatly in that regard. It's a nice picture of it. Then it's worth noting on the gearbox tunnel carpet as well. Obviously it has the ashtray in the middle there. We don't pre-cut that. That should all be done during the trimming process. It's a very dangerous game to try and pre-cut too many holes like that, because you want to do that literally as a job when you're fitting it to your car. Same principle again on the armrests there. Obviously the armrests are sold separately to the carpet sets anyway, but originally obviously they were sewn to the carpets. We don't pre-sew them, and we don't recommend that you pre-sew them to the carpets. We can guide you on the best ways of doing that, because there are easier ways than sewing it to the carpets. But the reason we don't do it is because it's a pleated armrest, which means it has, you know, straight line pleats going towards front to back of the car. And if we pre-sew it on exactly how it should be on the carpet, but then your carpet is fitted to your car slightly at an angle, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb because of the pleat lines and whatnot. So what we recommend you do is actually fit the carpet to the car first, or at least dummy fit it. Then you're going to look to attach the armrest in at that point there, so that you know that you are effectively attaching it correctly for the orientation within your car, depending on how the carpet actually fits in the car. So again, it's one of those tricks of the trade, knowing that these things sometimes don't exactly go as you would normally expect them to go in terms of angles and things like that. So bear that in mind. But like I say, I'm more than happy to help and guide you on the elements of how best to fit the armrest of the carpets. Either you can go down the original route, stitching and sewing, which I can obviously guide you through, or there are easier ways, should we say more modern day ways of doing it. Anyway, so that's that piece there. Then last pieces of the carpet set. Here you have some pre-cut squares which go on these sort of B-post stirrup boxes below the quarter panels. So obviously the material for that isn't sold in the carpet set. It's actually either sold separately or sold as part of the trim panel kit. But inside there you actually had pieces of carpets. So that's those pieces there, and I have done some videos actually detailing some aftermarket ones of those fully trimmed up, etc. So do check that out. And then you get a pair of the lower bulkhead kickboards at the back. So they are literally the bits that go down here. I think we've got a better photo. There we go, perfect. So they're the little stirrup boxes, those little squares. Then you had the lower bulkhead there at the back of the car, so you get those there. So that is the carpet set. Now, before I go on to the rear deck kit, let's just go over some of the hardware elements of the carpet set that you may wish to consider at the same time. So, let's start with the underfelt. So we offer soundproofing, heatproofing, natural jute felt kit, akin to what was originally fitted to the car. It's literally a natural jute felt with a black coating on it. The black coating faces upwards, i.e. towards the sky when everything's in the car. And we provide it pre-cut for all of the relevant pieces to go down into the car. Now, common question asked is, do I need this if I'm using the modern day sort of Dynamat heat shields, etc.? Lots of brands out there, Dynamat being the most premium and most globally recognized brand. And the answer is probably not, but it depends on the spec of your Dynamat or heat barrier material. And the reason being is you've got to consider the thickness underneath the carpets. You've got to imagine that all carpets have been templated with a certain thickness underneath those carpets, and therefore to get the correct fitment of the carpets in the car, you require that thickness underneath it. A lot of the modern Dynamat stuff, they do vary in thickness, but the really premium stuff, and I have this in my car, goes down to absolutely nothing when everything is said and done, barely a millimetre. So in that case, we do recommend that you use one of our natural jute felt kits. Effectively, we recommend you have between 5 and 10 millimetres of thickness underneath your carpets for the best fit in the car. So bear that in mind. It's also worth noting as well, it gives a nice underfoot soft feel to it, whereas again, a lot of the modern day ones don't, because they go down to nothing, so you're effectively onto the bodywork of the car. So generally speaking, most people do actually go and fit some of these into their car. If they're going for the sort of premium restorations, which is what we obviously cater most towards, because they go for the really thin Dynamat material, in which case you want the extra thickness for both the fitment and for the sort of cushioning effect on it. So bear that in mind. It's sold separately to the carpet set, but yeah, that's the ins and outs of the felt kits. It is worth noting at this stage in time, we only offer the natural jute felt kit, but we are looking to offer pre-cut premium sort of heat barrier material, whether it be Dynamat or another one. So watch this space on that one, and do check out our website and ask the question if you're unsure, because in time we will be offering that. Now going on to the fixings, we offer the original fixings, so you get 4 different versions of them and lots of them. Effectively done in 2 pieces. So the spiky bit goes through the carpet and onto the back, and then bent round, and then that becomes your attachment point on the carpet. And then this male stud element gets pop riveted to the bodywork of the car, and then that pops into that, and that becomes your fixings. So we sell the carpet fixing kit separately to the carpets and the felts. So yeah, we recommend you use one of those as well. happy to guide people through the best way of fitting these carpets in terms of the positions of the fixings, etc. There's lots of information, quite a bit of misinformation on the internet about the best ways of fitting carpets. A lot of people go gung-ho on glue. We do not recommend that. It's better to use a bit of glue where you need to. There are certain carpets that need glue, but then other than that, you want to be using the fixings and the natural weight of the carpets in place, intertwining with one another, like I explained with the front and rear floor carpets and the gearbox. The extra weight of those tucking under, etc., gives a nice finish. So I'm more than happy to go over that with people if they are unsure, and even your professional trimmer if they're not sure as well. So bear that in mind. So like I say, carpet set sold as one kit, underfelt sold as another, fixing sold as another. Then we've also got these overmats here. So rubber overmats, they have a sort of grippy backing to them, ribbed effect, and then they have Austin Healey and the winged logo in them. They are made generically for all the Healeys, and they are literally just to be placed in over the front floors to keep your front floors nice and pristine. So, you know, if you're getting in with wet or muddy boots, then you're not ruining those. So we supply those completely, sold completely separately to everything as well. So bear that in mind. Right, let's move on to the other areas of the car. So now we're going to be talking about the rear deck area. So the rear deck area, if we ignore that spare wheel, which we'll come to in a second, the rear deck area is this area here behind the seats. It had the battery underneath in that hatch there, and then obviously a spare wheel cover on top of it there. Now originally from the factory, it's left in Armourcord. Armourcord is a ribbed PVC material with a felt backing on it. This is Armourcord, although dark blue, not black. So obviously available in quite a few colours. Yeah, so ribbed Armourcord, that's what most people will go for, but we can then offer an upgrade kit, which would be any of the carpet options, so nylon, Karvel or wool. This customer's obviously gone for wool to match his main carpet set because he's doing a bespoke and upgraded restoration of the car. So the rear deck kit includes the main sort of rear deck piece there and this piece here, which is the battery box lid. So it's basically this U-shaped piece here, and then this battery box lid cover here. They're the main essence of it. They're both, the big U shape is edged all the way around. This piece here isn't actually edged. It has loose vinyl or leather, in this case, bits sewn around them, and actually you end up trimming it to the actual panel itself. I think I have a photo. There we are. So it gets trimmed all the way round onto the panel. So when it's in the car, it kind of looks like it is binding, but it's actually not. It's vinyl wrapped around with big flaps on them, or in this case, leather for this particular kit here. So you get those two pieces there, and then you get some loose pre-cut pieces. So again, these are normally supplied in vinyl, but this customer's gone for leather. We've got the archway leather there, which basically actually trims the bodywork element around the opening there. Basically, it just means that when you open and close the lid, you've always got this consistent colour going through because it'd be trimmed in a material as opposed to exposed bodywork on those. So it's again a little touch that we included in our kits to make sure that everything looks consistent throughout. So you get material, just retrim that area there, and then finally you get a big long strip of material which literally goes from left to right across there, so effectively above the lower bulkhead element of the carpets. Hence why I include these in this video here, because there is a definite follow-on, shall we say, from the carpets into the rear deck area there. So you get those there. In addition to that, sold separately, so that's the end of the rear deck kit. In addition to that, sold separately, we also offer the leather straps for the battery box lid. You get a pair of them. They're always leather, always the same colour as the main trim, although we offer whatever colour you want. They have the fixing already pre-inserted in them. They are longer than they need to be because you'll lose most of it in the actual fitment section underneath, but it allows you to have a bit of play in that regard there. And they're reinforced as well, so they're double-sided leather, but with a reinforcement material in the middle of it to stop it from stretching over the course of time. So they, again, are sold separately, but very much recommended at the same time as at least the rear deck kit. And then finally in this video, the last piece we're covering is the spare wheel cover. Spare wheel cover, or spare tyre cover, Obviously, the BN6, BN7 models had the spare tyre semi into the boot trunk area, but mostly on the rear deck of the car there. Now, we can offer it in various materials, but it also originally left the factory in various materials. And I'm going to use generic terminology here. So I believe the early cars, I might get this wrong way around, but I believe the early cars left with vinyl or Rexin vinide material cover. So basically the whole thing was vinyl. So this side has been done in vinyl here, but the whole thing would be vinyl around the edges there, along the top there, etc. But then they switched to a part vinyl, part carpet version. I'm just using generically the word carpet, which is what this version is here. So vinyl on one piece, and then carpet around the surround and carpet on top there. Obviously, this customer has gone for wool to tie in terms of the carpet, but when it comes to carpet, we can again offer either nylon, Karvel or wool. So up to you on that one. So effectively you have two options in terms of the materials. You either go for a full vinyl version or you go for a combination vinyl and carpet version. And in that latter version, you have the choice of the 3 different carpets. But obviously we recommend keeping everything consistent in terms of the carpet material with the rest of it. But it's a pre-sewn cover for putting the spare tyre, spare wheel in. Has the stitching down it as per original, the tab on the top of it, the opening at the top for the retainer belt of the spare wheel. It kind of locks in there effectively. The inside also has a reinforcement area there, which allows for the strap to pass through it. And then you get obviously the surround there, which allows it to be fixed into the car there. So this is the boot trunk side section of it there. So that is the spare tyre. It gets piped, etc. Actually, the piping on that is the slightly thicker piping, as you can see there, which is as per original specification. We go down to that sort of level of detail on these things. It's ever so slightly thicker. I think normal piping is about 3 mil in terms of the actual plastic core, whereas that's about 4.5 mil. So like I say, even down to those little details we cover in our kits there. So that's a spare wheel cover, which is also sold separately to the rest of it there. We can, it's not in this video, but we can also supply the leather belt strap that tucks that in as well, which you should potentially consider at the same time as the spare wheel cover. So do let us know on that as well. So that is the video done, I think. I will be doing a follow-on video showing the boot trunk kits and a bit of overspill into the rear deck and spare wheel cover for those that are interested. So be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel. But just as a quick summary of it all. So we've had the carpet set, which is a side change or side shift gearbox spec for all BN6s, 106 two-seater. And the BN7, which is the 3000 Mark 1, Mark 2 two-seater, but on the BN7 models, it's only applicable for the side shift, side change gearbox, which changed around November 1961 or around chassis number 16,000. So you've got the carpet set there, available in 3 grades of material: nylon, Karvel, which was original for most factory cars, or the upgraded premium wool material, which is generally what we'd recommend. You then have the rear deck kit behind with the battery box cover. Again, originally from the factory was in Armourcord material, which is that ribbed plastic material, but you can upgrade it to the carpet options, either nylon, Karvel or wool. You've got the battery box straps, which are always in leather, but you've also got to consider the grain versus smooth element of things on the leather side of things. And then finally you have the spare wheel cover, which was available in effectively 2 options, either full vinyl or vinyl with carpet. Again, the carpet option, you have the 3 options: nylon, Karvel or wool. In addition to that, you've got the Underfelt kit, fixings and overmats as well to consider, so bear that in mind. I hope you found that useful. Please remember to like, share and subscribe over Classic Car Enthusiasts. Be sure to check out my other videos at the end of this video, as well as all the other ones on my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, do let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you. And be sure to tune in next time. Thank you very much.